Call Derek Burrow's work phone.
Who do you want to call?
Derek Burrows.
Who do you want to call?
Cancel.
All right.
1977. To address a national emergency posed by the large and persistent trade deficit driven by the absence of reciprocity in our trade relationships and a lot of other harmful policy, currency manipulation, value-added taxes. You can add to that the subsidy structures that some of these other more socialist nations have, and that includes the European Union. The top line, this will take effect April 5th, 2025 at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be
Hey. Power's out of my house too. I'm just not getting out of there. So it'll be about, I'll be there about 9:37 according to my GPS.
No worries. Taking time, be safe.
Just letting you know, man. It's man, my front and backyard are flooded.
Yeah, it was a good one last night. There was rain for like 7 hours straight.
Yeah, I know. All right, man. Just letting you know.
Okay, man.
Yeah, bye.
to other countries. People are looking for reciprocity and fair trade. Balance is key to that. But if they engage in a negative form of reciprocity in an attempt to shut down simply trying to get to a point of being fair, that this will not end well for them. Let's go to some of that audio. Here's Scott Besson talking about Alexander Hamilton.
Go back all the way to Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton used him to raise revenue. He used him to protect the industry. President Trump has added the third leg of the stool, which is strategic. So, if we're thinking about a 10% global tariff, and let's assume that we import about $3 trillion a year, so that's $300 billion, and that's a substantial revenue raiser that could then be used for working Americans on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and for those buying autos, they can reduce their bills because interest on American-made cars will be tax deductible. So this is really a working class, the tariff and tax plan.
This is a long-term strategy. In the first Trump administration, and for the first time since Reagan, we had actual, very real efforts to institute a pro-growth strategy, a long-term plan. The Treasury Secretary addressed that. Cut 3.
Brett, I say that what we are doing is we're setting the stage for long-term economic growth, that we were on our way to a financial crisis. You know, I used to teach the history of financial crises, and with that gigantic government spending, it was unsustainable. You look back in 1998, you look back in 07, right before the break, that everything collapsed. So, I mean, right before everything collapsed. So, they have taken us off that trajectory, and we're putting ourselves back up.
Thank you, sir. Do you want to reply?
No. No.
Okay.
Already have, as of yesterday afternoon, when this president spoke in the Rose Garden. Cutting.
Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms
Something's
of
clogged.
economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise
those details out. Fortunately, in talk radio, we actually have the time to give you the context. One, the tariffs will remain in effect until the time that the administration, president and the administration, working with this team, determines that the threat posed by the trade deficits, plural, and the underlying non-reciprocal
Wow, look at all this fucking water. My
tariffs
goodness.
is either satisfied or resolved in some fashion. There is modification authority to increase or decrease. Trading partners now have a chance and opportunity to work with the United States to get to reciprocity. Now, some goods, not all goods, not everything is being tariffed. Because if you were to believe the reporting, this is the end of the world. All is being tariffed, and the world will end financially today at whatever time they have deemed in the media. Goods like steel and aluminum articles, auto parts that are already subject to Section 232 tariffs will not be tariffed, will not be subject to reciprocal tariffs. Copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors. Remember Tom yesterday? Lumber articles. Remember Tom's call yesterday? We spent a good amount of time. I gave him a chance to make his point. Well, lumber articles will not be subject to reciprocal tariffs. That doesn't mean they cannot become subject to future tariffs. We'll see how those nations respond. Bullion, energy, and other minerals, especially rare earth minerals that are not available in the United States in some form or in enough form. And for Canada and Mexico, a lot of the discussion and response is around the USMCA. The existing IEEPA orders on fentanyl and migration remain in effect and are unaffected by this latest order. So USMCA compliant goods today will continue to see a 0% tariff. Non-USMCA compliant goods will see a 25% tariff. And non-USMCA compliant energy and potash will see a 10% tariff. This is not a sledgehammer approach. This is a carefully crafted strategy. And for those of you out there, as a matter of fact, I'm going to post this on today's show article at David Webb Show. It is 397 pages, so I'll give you a heads up on that. And no, I was not able to read 397 pages in 24 hours, even while stuck on an airplane for 3 hours. I'm not that good. Neither is any congressman or senator who says they're going to read these 1,000-page bills in 24 hours to vote on. But the National Trade Estimate Report is a part of the decision-making process. It's broken down, it's indexed by countries. You can look up Colombia, the Arab League, the European Union, the Dominican Republic, Hong Kong, India, Israel, Switzerland, Tunisia, Ukraine, United Kingdom, Uruguay, Vietnam. You get the idea. Indexed by these various nations with which we have trade relationships, or significant relationships. And the basis for this is based on real analysis of our trade imbalance. So again, not a wild-eyed, as they would have you believe, strategy by the president, by the administration. But if you listen to the media, you would have to believe otherwise. Look at what's happened with the lack of reciprocity. Persistently for decades, in some cases, The goods and trade deficits have led to the hollowing out of our manufacturing base. It didn't just happen for no reason or just because of the need for cheap products from China or somewhere else. And again, there are specificities, certain products that are included, not included, such as I mentioned earlier, non-USMCA compliant goods will see a 25% tariff, but USMCA compliant goods will continue to see the 0% tariff. Our economic security matters. And for those that say, well, because it costs American companies to do business in other countries. According to estimates, U.S. companies pay over $200 billion per year in value-added taxes, wanted VAT tax, to foreign companies, foreign governments, which is a double hit on our companies who pay a tax at the European border, for example, while European companies coming out of the European Union don't pay a tax to the United States on the income from their exports. How is that fair? Counterfeit goods are a part of this. The annual cost estimated to the U.S. economy, counterfeit goods, pirated software, theft of intellectual property, trade secrets. Low estimates around $225 billion, high estimates at $600 billion per annum. That's a risk, significant risk, to our companies and our competitiveness. We hear a lot of talk about the pharmaceuticals, bringing back pharmaceutical manufacturing to the United States. We saw what happened during COVID, where so much was made in China, so much in India, and as a result, we had massive disruption. But in counterfeit pharmaceuticals alone, they don't have the controls as we do within or in these countries and in other countries as well. An estimated $4.4 billion in counterfeit pharmaceuticals. Of course, you tie that into the distribution of fentanyl-laced drugs, illegal activity, chemical and biological warfare on the United States. Your goal, every one of you, whether it be a police officer who touches a fentanyl-laced license for some reason while pulling someone over, or a stupid kid who does a stupid thing and takes a pill from one of his friends and dies. There's a wide range. We went from, in the agriculture, and here's another contrast. We had an agricultural trade surplus after Trump's first term. Under Biden, it reached an all-time high deficit of $49 billion. And our trade deficit in goods in 2024 was more than $1.2 trillion. Put in 2023 as a share of the total global manufacturing output. In 2001, it was 28.4%. In 2023, it was 17.4%. These are the numbers. Numbers compiled by ISM, by the various manufacturing organizations, and the U.S. government agencies. Combined. Again, the COVID-19 pandemic brought out so much of that. Then you add to that the shutdown of the Mediterranean waters because the Biden administration would not take out and kill Houthi terrorists who were attacking Middle East shipping or shipping through the Middle East. The total loss, approximately 5 million manufacturing jobs lost from 1997 to 2024. Multiple presidential terms. The difference with Trump stepping in his first term, and then the deconstruction of that under Biden. Patriot 957-2874. It's a lot of numbers in there. A lot of numbers. But in percentages, we, the United States, have the lowest simple average of most favored nation tariff rates in the world at 3.3%, while key trading partners like China, 7.5%, the European Union, 5%, India, 17%, Brazil, 11.2%, and Vietnam, 9.4%. We're at 3.3%. How is that fair? I would ask those four senators, McConnell, Murkowski, Collins, and Paul, who voted to shut down Trump's strategy, siding with the Democrats, and Tim Kaine of Virginia, who led that effort. Again, a lot of numbers in there, a lot of things to be discussed, but I would prefer, as I've just done, to give you more information to chew on, to digest, and again, I will post the link to the trade report. I don't expect that many of you will read 397 pages. However, you may want to click on the index by country and look at the executive summary at a minimum. Learn for yourself. 866-95-PATRIOT, 957-2874.
The Will Count Majority.
Coming up right after the David Webb Show, we will review Trump's Liberation Day speech. Liberation Day. We'll talk about it right after Webb.
The Will Count Majority coming up next at noon East after the David Webb Show on SiriusXM Patriot.
Did you know that your largest investment asset might not be your retirement account or home? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. Most people don't realize that their life insurance policy is actually an asset they can sell. But for almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. We've even created a free policy value calculator at abacuspays.com so you can find out in seconds what we might pay for your policy. There are no fees and no obligations, just information. Knowing the value of your life insurance policy is as important as knowing the value of your home, your equity portfolio, or your finances in total. Discover the valuable information you need to understand the current market value for your life insurance, and then get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Visit abacuspays.com to learn more and use our free policy value calculator today.
Easter is coming up, and this year you can help your kids celebrate Easter and learn all about Jesus' sacrifice and resurrection with the Resurrection of Jesus from the Kids Guide to the Bible. This fun, beautifully illustrated guide teaches kids all about the miracle of the Easter season. It's part of a free gift bundle that includes a fun Easter magazine too. It's the perfect gift for your child's Easter basket. Don't wait, order your free Easter gift bundle at freeeasterstory.com. That's freeeasterstory.com.
If you're considering a 1031 exchange or a DST 1031, you should consider student housing near one of the most stable economic drivers in the world, universities. Cash flow starts at 7% paid monthly. Icon Student Housing has a new property in one of the hottest markets in the country, Salt Lake City, just 2 blocks from the University of Utah, a Tier 1 Power 5 conference, irreplaceably located 2 blocks away and 100% occupied. Cash flow starts at 7%. We offer, arguably, the lowest fees in the industry by cutting out the high 10% broker-dealer commissions. Icon goes direct to you. Call 800-580-1031. That's 800-580-1031. Over $75 million in distributions have been paid out to investors while sheltering 100% from taxes. Visit icon1031.com or call us at 800-580-1031. Patriots.
Channel 125.
Conservative principles live here.
Meet President Trump's cabinet. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Well, I think what we stand for is going to be clear in the actions the president's taken. He said that all our foreign policy is going to be about promoting peace and making America strong, prosperous, and safe.
The 53-year-old politician and diplomat is a well-known name, having served as a senator for the state of Florida since 2011.
My singular focus is to ensure that the priority of the United States Department of State is the United States.
Marco Rubio, Secretary of State.
This is Sirius XM Patriot. Truth is the authority. This is the David Webb Show.
I throw a lot at you, and deliberately so. And there is so much more to this. Well, one thing I do like about this White House, and sure, you're welcome to disagree on politics and policy, etc., but they make their case public. Put the numbers out there. A number of you have talked about weekly wrap-ups and S-dubs and all these things, and it's out there. And yes, the media world is given more information than we can digest. Maybe not everyone. I know what I get and what I have to dig through to get to a daily show. It's like drinking from a fire hose of information, but it's presented and it's sourced, so I'm able to look at the sourcing of that information and decide whether I agree or disagree or have a different view or find something else about it. So say what you will. Unlike Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Donald Trump is not hidden or being hidden by his staff. Neither are his Treasury Secretary or his cabinet members, for that matter. They were present in the Rose Garden. The transparency that you've demanded is on display.
Lots of water here.
Let's start with Ralph in Connecticut. 866.
Front and backyard are flooded. A lot of standing water everywhere around here.
Nice to talk to you again. You've got a great show. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. So I just listened to you this morning.
It rained hard for like 7 straight hours last night.
It's amazing that he's done, to your point, everything that he had promised he would do and then some. And so quickly, within 2 months, we were astounded. And it dawned on me this morning, and you had touched on COVID for a moment. I realized I got to call David and remind him, not that I have to, but I believe COVID, as much as it almost destroyed Trump, it resurrected him as well. And I think COVID opened the eyes of millions of Americans that's what's really going on.
Absolutely true. During COVID, we got to see the gaps, the weaknesses, and the failures of decades of...
Yeah, I think you probably get it before this weekend.
On both sides, for that
I mean, there's several bans, so...
And now, because of that, we can see what we also need to fix. And in fact, we're not even at the fix yet. We're triaging the problem right now.
I agree. And if you really distill this down, DOGE, it was birthed, I believe, by COVID, because we're realizing that there's waste and fraud.
Power just came back on over at the Green Springs facility. Had diverted all the phones. All three buildings there were down. I mean, they have generators, but it ain't gonna, if the power's out, the internet's out, which means the phones are out, which means the TVs are out.
They all have been feeding at the trough, and we have been paying the price. And that's not necessarily even an illegal, but it was certainly on...
Supposed to be windy, then the rain's supposed to start back up again tonight and go all the way through tomorrow.
But when you get used to the subsidies and the payouts and you use it in that example, you look at Pfizer, who at one point was going to change their domicile to the UK, and New York State coughed up, I think it was $7 billion in benefits or some number. It's a ridiculous number to keep the revenue side, that's important, on the revenue side, was paid for in the first 2 years of his administration, give or take a month here and there. So it was not a problem in adding to the deficit because the revenues, 22% average hike for each American. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to see a 22% overall rising a damn thing. And neither should anyone, because that won't just affect individuals. It will affect corporations, obviously. It will affect small business development. It will have wide-ranging effects, including the failures or rather the ultimate failure in going back to some of the prior policies on earned income tax credit, on capital gains tax rates, on corporate tax rates, and more. So they have got to get this done. Inflation had many other factors. The tax cuts were paid for. They were having an effect. Now you have COVID-era spending under Trump, but if you adjust for that and you look at Biden's spending without COVID, it was almost double that of Trump extracting the COVID-era spending like you would wartime spending, which, by the way, was still underway in great degree. So there are a lot of other factors that get you to inflation, and now that the left has run out of screaming inflation because Americans have gone, well, tell me more, they're trying to scream it'll be stagflation as if they can predict the markets, and they can't. They project, but they can't predict. Shannon, South Carolina, go ahead.
Hi, David. Thanks for taking my call. I want your opinion. I value your show so much because of your analysis. I'm really upset about Anna Luna and her cabal standing in the way of President Trump's agenda. I believe she should resign in disgrace and be replaced because her activities have been patently unethical. And I say that as an ethics professor because she says, essentially, I'm not going to do my job for which I was elected unless I get special treatment. And I don't think that's ethical. I also, as a former pollster, I don't think it's going to play with Republicans. They're couching this as a parental issue, but they're standing in the way of tax cuts for the parents who are struggling right now out there, and school choice, and a number of other issues. And I have to say, as the left is fond of pointing out, the choice to reproduce was her choice. It's not the taxpayer's choice. If you can't afford child care on $170,000 a year salary, that's your fault. I don't understand
a little bit late.
why they think this issue is going to play with Republicans standing in the way of the Trump agenda. What's your opinion on that, and do you think she should resign?
The resignation, do I think she should resign over this? I would say no, but I'll leave that to her constituents, to your point, Republicans to respond, including a lot of moms, and whether single mom or otherwise, who called in yesterday.
Yeah, it was a pretty good storm.
Of the response of many of you out
My front and backyard are both flooded. There's a lot of flooding around here. So. All right, I gotta go though. I'm already super late. The power was out at the house. Peace.
It's an